Hey, how's it going? I wanted to talk a little bit about Bitcoin and securities and what is going on in securities and why it's important to Bitcoin, particularly securities tokens, and particularly those things that are built on Bitcoin. One of the biggest and most exciting things that's going on right now is this El Salvador bond. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about the overall ecosystem, why Bitcoiners should care, and I'm going to, cover some of the stuff that I covered in my Baltic Honey Badger presentation in 2018 or so, just kind of updated for today. First of all, I just want to make a disclaimer. I'm a registered broker with Watchdog Capital, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer in the United States and FINRA member. Nothing I say here should be investment advice for you. I'm just going to talk in general terms about securities overall and the technology and how it fits into Bitcoin and the ecosystem. This isn't an offering of any specific security. And some securities, like certain securities tokens, and especially things like the El Salvador bond, may not even be available for U.S. investors, and even if they are, they might not be available through us, and they might not be appropriate for you. So be careful with your investing. As always, read carefully, read prospectuses, talk to a qualified investment advisor. We'd love to help you, but this presentation is not investment advice or an offering or sale of securities. The El Salvador bond is a really, really big deal. A lot of people know it's a big deal because it's a sovereign nation and it's Bitcoin related. Those are very big deals. The Bitcoin city, all that is a big deal. The other big deal about it is that this is a securities token. And this is probably the biggest and most important securities token to date. And it's built by a Bitcoin company. It's built by Blockstream, and it's running on Blockstream's Liquid, and it's settling in Bitcoin. So that's a really, really, really big deal. If you don't know about Blockstream's Liquid, we're a member of it, Watchdog Capital. You see that they have, it's a federation of members. Watchdog Capital was the first SEC registered broker-dealer, I think maybe the only one, to register to do exactly this kind of thing, securities tokens. And, Liquid, hopefully you know about them, and Blockstream, they're a leading company in the Bitcoin space, very, pure Bitcoin type of company, very technology, very security focused. We love it because it's building on Bitcoin. As a firm, we want to build on Bitcoin primarily. We certainly want to support anything out there. We're big believers in open markets and free markets, and we want to we would like to list as much as we can, and we would support any kind of security token. Regardless of whatever chain it is, it really matters how good the security is, what the company is. But personally, as a kind of company philosophy, we prefer Bitcoin. We want to build on Bitcoin. So Blockstream's Liquid is a great way to do that. There's also other projects like RSK, which is being built, which is built on Bitcoin by Bitcoiners, and RGB, which is also doing the same kind of thing. And then most famous of all is Counterparty. Counterparty is also runs on Bitcoin, and that runs one of the biggest projects in the world of Tether. So anyway, kind of a big deal. Important stuff that's happening. I think securities are the mother of all industry. It's very, very important kind of thing. I'll talk a little bit more here about kind of what you're solving for, and that's a big one. What you're solving for. A lot of people don't get it. They're like, why can't you just use a database? I'll answer that in this presentation. So Bitcoin and securities. So first of all, programmable money. I love the term programmable money. Bill Bartheit from Abra, I think, was the first person I heard use that term. It's easy to forget that Bitcoin is. It's easy to either forget that it's technology and it's a technology-driven thing, or also easy to overdo that. It's not just technology. Otherwise, somebody could just make something a little bit faster and a little bit better. And it's pretty easy technically to make a better Bitcoin. But there's more to it than just the technical. There's the network effect, the number of people participating, number of people believe it, number of people who defend it, number of people who feel that it has value. All of those kind of things are big, big, big factors. But it is programmable money, and that's kind of cool. It can do things that gold and other forms of money can't do. One of the things it can do is interact with securities. And securities are here to stay. Securities are a big thing. Equities are a big thing. I'm going to talk about equities in a second. Ludwig von Mises, great quote, why a stock market is crucial. As you might know, I've been in this business forever. I literally started as a kid, kind of hanging out in my mom's brokerage firm, 1980s, and just really grew up. I got my Series 7 at 19 years old, and I've been registered ever since. So I love securities, and it was great to do things that interact. The combination of securities and Bitcoin and the overall ecosystem is something I'm very passionate about. So securities is kind of in my blood, but it's different than money, and it's different than other things. And particularly if somebody kind of say you came from computer science and you've spent a lot of time learning what money is, you become a great Bitcoiner. It's almost antithetical because it's two different things. It's very different things. What makes money good and what makes a security good is two different things. What makes money good is durability, portability, scarcity, acceptability, uniformity, visibility. You can Google that and you get the same kind of answer. It's not something I invented. That's just properties of money, long predating Bitcoin. People kind of agreed on it, and it makes sense. All right. Well, a security is basically an agreement. Okay, it's agreement that you can trade. So what makes an agreement good? What makes an agreement good? If I just say, hey, I got an agreement, what would you say? I got a contract. You say, well, what is it? If it's, Apple or Microsoft or Tesla's going to give me 10% of the company, that's a pretty darn good agreement. And if it's enforceable, if they say, hey, yeah, we signed this and, it's registered and notarized and we did it under the laws of Delaware and the board did it and it's, protected by the laws of the United States, that's a really good agreement. So terms of the agreement matter. Now, if you have the reverse of that, you have a thing that says, hey, buy this tokeny thing and what do you get? A hope and dream of a promise to a gift certificate to a store that nobody wants to shop at. All right, it's not a great, agreement. So the securities and currency are two different things. So don't be thinking of securities under the lens that you would judge Bitcoin. Bitcoin's different. Bitcoin's money. So Bitcoin, you want to say, is it durable? Is it portable? Can it meet these things? Can you divide it into smaller units? Is it acceptable? Is it limited in supply? No, that matters with an agreement, a security, an agreement. If you had that piece of paper that Tesla says, here's 10% of the company because we love you. You've been a very helpful advisor. Elon loved the tweet that you wrote so much. The board loved it so much. It's impacted us materially. We're giving you 10% of the company. Well, that's a legal agreement. I mean, it's an awesome agreement. It'd be worth billions of dollars, but it's not money. It doesn't have to be durable or fungible or portable or uniform or limited in supply. Okay, so it's a different kind of thing. The strength of the agreement is what matter. So how did these come about? First tradable agreement, 1602. You used to do shipping expeditions. You would raise kind of one pile of money by one wealthy person for one shipping expedition. Okay. And that eventually, that wasn't a very efficient model. So eventually that became a joint stock company and you were able to have multiple people contribute. So instead of one person raising all the money for one ship, you have multiple people contribute and it shared the risk. So that's a brilliant, brilliant structure. It helped VOC or Dutch East India Company become the largest company the world had ever seen. Here's some examples. Here it is compared to Apple in today's market cap. I love this one. About 8 trillion plus in today's dollars. So Dutch East India Company, adjusted for inflation, is bigger than Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Wells Fargo, Berkshire Hathaway, Samsung, Netflix, all of these combined. So very big deal. And why? The value was there. It just unlocked it. It unlocked it because it made capital formation better and easier. And that made a lot of sense. That's what has led to everything you can kind of think of has been some sort of security or equity or some kind of tradable agreement like that. It's changed the whole world. It's funded everything from Disney to whatever, scams, all kinds of different things. And that gave rise to markets. So you had to have a place to trade this. Here's the first market that the VOC traded in, Dutch East India Company, and then you have New York Stock Exchange over there on the lower right. Markets have been very important, very crucial. And here's Rick and Morty talking about what a stock market is. But at the end of the day, what a stock market is basically this. It's matching orders. And here we have this is probably 30s or something. It was done this way quite a while, pre-computers. This is how it was done. So it could be the 40s or 50s, but oh no, there's a ticker tape there. But anyway, this is what it is. It's just matching orders. You used to have chalkboard and they'd say, what are the prices? And then they came up with this incredible new technology called the ticker tape. And the ticker tape was able to print the prices. And that was a big, big, big deal. You didn't know what the prices were before. Now you did. So it changed the world, but that's all it is at the end of the day. It's about matching these prices. I love this photo. This is a great illustration of the power of these markets, the power of the desire of people to trade and make it easy to trade. So You have, after the Coalition Provisional Authority came into Iraq, after the United States had bombed it, you had CEOs dead, companies in flames, buildings destroyed by bombs, but you still had shares. So these people are stockbrokers in Iraq, the Baghdad Stock Exchange, and they went in and without their computers or anything, everything destroyed, they put up whiteboards and they matched up markets. Oh, you got some shares? All right. We'll buy, we'll sell. And they made the markets work. I love this. This used to get me choked up when I saw this photo, because this shows the human desire to have this stuff work. It's not just what Ludwig Mises says. It's a part of humanity. We want to trade. We want to make bets on things. We want to learn about a topic, whether it's automotive repair or you know, heart surgery, and we want to make our bets on those things, on those companies and those people, those other humans that we interact with. It's a very valuable and important piece. Everybody in there, look at these people, look at their faces. You know, they're I don't know who they are, but I like to think, who is this woman? She's dressed up even though her country's been bombed. She's obviously a hard worker because she has this position. She's sort of center of the photo. Who is she? Who's this other guy over on the right? He looks like a serious guy. He's got glasses on, maybe an analyst, somebody who's read some books. He knows the value of these companies. Both of these people know a heck of a lot about what's going on in their market. They're looking at it saying, hey, what's this worth? What's Baghdad paper worth? I don't know. Did you see that we bombed the headquarters? They're all dead. Oh yeah, but they have another one. They have another headquarters. The CEO's still alive. Maybe it's worth this. Maybe it's worth that. They're traders, and that's human interaction at its highest level when it comes to business and economics. So these systems, these desire to trade, it led into very, very complex systems. Right now, a lot of people think that securities work like you have a company and a database that has the shareholders. But in reality, it's a very complex, clunky system. These markets are huge, 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 far beyond what most people realize, even people in crypto. They're vastly, vastly larger and vastly more complex. This is kind of another illustration. You have all of these it's complex on purpose because that's kind of the point of it. But, you have, like, who runs the ledger? It's not Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley or Robinhood. They all report to a centralized party called DTCC. And you have all of these different parties, clearing firms and transfer agents and registrars and all these brokers who don't trust each other. Different parties who don't trust each other. They don't trust each other to run the ledger. So they all kind of go back and forth on all these complex systems. In the United States, it's DTCC. Overseas, it's Euroclear. You have all of these. It's not important to really look at how it works in Japan versus how it works in the U.S. and what all these different parties are. There's a lot of different ways to illustrate it. The point is, it's tricky to run a ledger, and it's not an easily solved problem. A lot of people think like, oh, I'll just make a better database. Well, it is a database already, and it does have the unique trust needs that are suited for a blockchain. You know for sure all this clunky junk right here, 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 here. What is all this? It's just describing this clunky system that they use to know what's true. That's it. You want to know what's true. So I send you 100 shares of Apple from my Merrill Lynch account to you. I don't have a Merrill Lynch account. Of course not. Never, never, never. But I send it from my, no, somebody else sends their Merrill Lynch 100 shares of Apple to a Watchdog, a Capital account. There you go. Now, how do we know it's real? Does Merrill Lynch tell us? Do we get on the phone? Hey, Merrill, we got those shares. Oh, yeah, you sent them? Okay. Kind of. That's how it used to work. Well, how does Coinbase and Kraken do it when you send 100 Litecoin from Kraken to Coinbase? How does that work? Do they call each other? Yeah, Kraken got those shares. Do they have a centralized organization? The United International Depository Clearing Corporation of Crypto that says who's what? Yep, okay, Kraken, yep, those shares are good. Hey, Coinbase, you owe us another 10,000 Bitcoin on the... No, doesn't exist. They don't ever have to communicate ever. And if they did, the systems wouldn't work because you have not just Coinbase and Kraken, who it's relatively easy to communicate, and they do communicate on OTC. You have all kinds of exchanges who don't even communicate, and they're all competitors to some degree. So how do they know that the Litecoin is really there? How do they know the Bitcoin is there? How do they know the Tether is really there? Tether is a token, basically. It's not a security token, but it's a token. So how do you know it's there? The ledger says so. You have a distributed ledger that multiple people trust. And that is all this thing does, all this clunky stuff. All it does is say what's real. It's a system so that Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley and Robinhood and Watchdog Capital can know what's real, so they can know who has what. It's easier said than done because we're not going to share our list. If you open an account with us, you can mark my words and the rules that back us up. We're never ever going to share your holdings with anybody unless we're required to. We're not allowed to, and we would never do that. And we, especially even more than other firms, hopefully we value trust and privacy. So, and also Merrill Lynch is not going to share that database. They're not going to share that ledger and say who owns shares of Apple. They're not even going to share it with Apple. Apple doesn't even know. It's this big, clunky, goofy system. And we know for sure, because of Tether and other things, that we can fix it. We also know that it has a lot of problems. Here's a weird, famous example, Dole Foods. They sold the company. They thought there was 36 million shares. 49 million shares worth of people came forward and said, hey, you owe me some shares. Why is that? Because nobody really knows, because of this big clunky goofy mess run by DTCC. Another thing, Hurricane Sandy, 1.3 million securities in a vault in Sandy, in New York after Hurricane Sandy. So they spent all this time, they had $1 trillion worth of securities in the wake of a superstorm. See what it says? Brinks armored trucks transport dry and sanitized documents back to DCC. They took like a year with a sanitization whatever team to vacuum the water off of these securities. Come on. It's a mess. It's a big clunky mess. That doesn't happen with your ERC20 token or your liquid token, all right? So we got a better ledger. We have a better ledger here now. It works better. This is a ledger. This is a visual description that could explain the best difference between a ledger for money or for Bitcoin or for securities. It's all the same. So you can take that, what is a security? You can take it and you can make it into a token. Here's an example. If you just say, like I said, if the board of Tesla takes a piece of paper or a stick of gum and says this is worth something, if I say that an open dime that has this counterparty asset is a security, you better believe it's a security, especially if I do it because the regulators are watching. If I say this is equity in my business, that is a security, 100%. And if I choose to honor that open dime or that pen or that piece of paper, then I can do that as a securities issuer. And that's all we're doing with something more advanced like what Overstock did with their issuance on counterparty. This is on Bitcoin. They did a bond on Bitcoin on counterparty, same as Mastercoin OmniLayer what Tether did. Okay, so you can build these things on Bitcoin, and it makes the world work better. If you can make capital formation work better, we can make the whole world work better. And this opens a whole long tail of how money can work and how you can raise funds and all this other stuff. I mean, it's very, very, very exciting. I think it's the biggest deal in the world right now. I think definitely take a look at it. It can't be underestimated. It's a real problem that's being solved. We got a real example with this El Salvador thing. Bitcoiners should be all over this. There's no world in the future where Gen Z is going to be having their wallets and they're trading their NFTs and they have Bitcoin as their money, and Bitcoin's the global money standard, and we're trading it around. And then what? How do we do securities? Securities are here to stay because securities include equity. And if you got a better idea than equity, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Equity is a darn good structure, and it's round, and it's going to be around, and it's made a lot of wealth. It's a great way to share risk and reward. So equity is here, bonds are here, they're here to stay. In the United States, both those things are considered securities. If we can make equity work better, we can have capital formation, we can change the world, just like Dutch East India Company changed the world. We have a long tail where you can have easier capital formation. You don't need VCs anymore. You can sell your shares, just like an ICO, only legal. You can do that right now in the United States. You can have a security token. You can run it on Blockstream's Liquid or any other Bitcoin platform or a non-Bitcoin platform like Ethereum. You can issue that security. You can raise money for it. You can raise up to $5 million from non-accredited from Reg CF. You can raise up to $75 million on a Reg A with some various reporting and registration requirements. And in the future, I think those things will trade, and you'll have a lot more liquidity for existing businesses. It'll be easier to form capital. It'll be easier for companies to have their own kind of shareholder. Not everything is appropriate for a venture capitalist. They don't like, small, slow growth lifestyle businesses, for example, but maybe the customers do. And maybe you can have things where people get to a point where they want to support that business and the goals above money. You put a small amount into your local favorite business just because you want them to do well. There's a lot of potential for this, and the value's right there. It's right outside your window. Look out your window, whether you see farmland or a building or small businesses, large businesses. They're all ultimately corporations, and that's a stock, and that's an equity. Equity is a security, and if we can make that work better, we can have a trade settled in Bitcoin, moving around on our phones the same way NFTs move around, the same way Litecoin moves around. That changed the world for the better. It gives liquidity to all these businesses. It's a huge, huge, huge big deal. It's the mother of all industries. It's not like buying a cup of coffee. This is the thing. This is the 9 million pound gorilla. I think Bitcoin's going to do it. I think one way or another it's going to be settled in Bitcoin. I think a lot of these other chains will survive. I personally like building on Bitcoin, but no matter what, you got to view this as the mother of all industries, the backbone of the global economy, and right now exciting stuff is happening on Bitcoin. That's a really big deal. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.